Okay, this is the 8/8/16 overall tutorial. Obviously we were trying to get heights calibrated in our first video, but this video is going to get a little bit further into what we're looking for. So obviously when we're doing our first 8/8/16 variation, this is just normal 8 on a hand and then 16. We are looking for legato strokes. When we switch hands, there is a downstroke, but we're not going to change the color. We're just going to close the hand gently. Close. There should not be a color change on that transition. Make sure your transitions are clean. And one. One of the things you can do to think about your transitions mentally is to think about the and before the hand change and the first two notes of the hand change. For example, going 1 and 3 and 1 and 1 and 3 and 1 and 1, 2, 3, 4 and stop. That's what you should be thinking while you're playing this. 1 and 1 and 1 and 1 and 1 and 1 and 1, and that should help clean up any issues you have with your transitions. Okay, same height, same color, same weight of hand, same technique. And as we get lower, we'll discuss when we get more in a line setting how we change our fulcrum when we get down low. Sometimes we'll start holding more in the back as we get lower, and we open up as we get faster, but also depends on tempo and height. It depends. So generally when you get lower, you play through the head a little bit more. You don't play too loose. You get like a soft sound quality. You should be still getting a nice big sound quality even though it's low. So decrescendo, crescendo, or crescendo, decrescendo, you're kind of trying to work on these different facets at different tempos and making sure your transitions sound seamless. So if I'm going 16/3 decrescendo, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, that last and should be the same weight and color as the first downbeat in the left hand. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and match, and 2 and 3 and 4 and match. Same thing, the and to the 1 is going to match. Then when you're doing one hand decrescendo, crescendo, it should sound the same as if you're doing the first two measures, so make sure they match. 1 and it should sound exactly the same as you did when it was split up, okay? So you're trying to really listen, make sure it feels the same, sounds the same, and match yourself, and we match ourselves as a line as well. The common mistake here is to overplay the first note, 1 and 2 and. Just make sure it's the height, just play the height, don't try to add any extra weight. Don't add any extra. Same thing when you finish. So don't go like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, slam, right? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, smooth transition. Make sure bop bop is nothing. Make sure that and 1 or the and 1 is not more than you need. Okay, it's just relax. 2s, 3s, and 3s, 2. So we're starting to work on our doubles. We should be using a push-pull technique. Push, pull, push, pull. Make sure we're open. I should see a lot of action in the back of your hands when we do the 3s. It's push, push, pull. Now the faster we get, the more that those 3s are going to have a natural decay, where it goes a little bit lower as we go. But if it's slower, we're going to try to really pump it out the same height. So we're going to try to work on matching that center-wise when we get in the line. Make sure this is constantly flowing. I shouldn't hear any weight on the extra 3s. Da-da, 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 ba-da-da. Don't slam it. Da-da, 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 same weight. Okay? And actually see constant motion. Move, 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 move. I shouldn't see like a downstroke or freezing in the air. It should be constant motion. Hug a box. The idea with this one is our first 3 accents are actually 2 different stroke types. You have full, full, and the last one's a downstroke. Now in the downstroke, we don't want to overplay da da bop, right? We want the same color and just close our hand, bop, bop, bop. So the idea is to make sure the third accent matches the first 2 full strokes. Match, match, match. So you're really listening for that third accent. That's the whole point of this exercise to start with. Then we start throwing down some 3 strokes. Da, da, da. When we do that, we want it to be natural natural decay and relax. Okay, match, 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 da da da. Make sure the threes are the same tone as well. Match, 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 match. Now, of course, the non-accents are going to get nice and low. Okay, so this is going to set us up for taking out the threes in a second when we start doing real bucks where it's just one accent, because the tendency here is to overplay and go match, 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 down, and put extra. Try to match. Match, 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 low, low, low. Match, 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 low, match, low, low, low. So you could even hear me get a little louder on that last one. So we really want to match that. Okay, flam taps. Again, we have been working on the threes hand to hand. When we're doing flam taps, you're doing threes. And the left hand is also doing threes, but on the upbeat. So we're trying to put those together and coordinate our hands. Just basically coordinate ourselves to be able to play flam taps so we can start working on these threes and feeling that flow and getting our hands nice and warm. All right, gallop. Gallop 1, 2, 3 are setting us up all for the gallop idea. So we're going to be, depending on the tempo, will depend on what kind of stroke we're doing, but we are trying to push-pull these doubles. Okay. Depending on the tempo, as we get faster, I think we should start working on these pump drag ideas where it's like a drag, 2 for 1, but also a little bit of pump. Okay, but mostly we're doing push-pulls still. Okay, really trying to get our push-pulls to be at a faster tempo. Now, gallop is also very good because you're changing velocity from single hand eighth notes to alternating eighth notes, and so we could make sure that it's matching by taking out the drags. So where you might be in the front fulcrum for those single eighths, for those alternating, I might close my hands and be in the back. Because technically it's like a quarter note tempo. So I might go front, back, depends on the tempo, depends on the height, but we're listening to make sure they match. Then we can add the drags. It also acts as a note value change exercise in a sense because your single hands are actually doing the check for 60 notes. Okay, and so are you late? Late? You're checking if you're slow on that transition. Okay, so this is great for a lot of different things. Iris spring. So this is, again, working on our push-pulls and our 2s and 3s. We want to make sure that we can apply those techniques, but in a triplet feel, and make sure we're ready for that instead of having to relearn it when we get to show music. Okay, so so all this is going to be kind of full strokes. Depending on the tempo, we might do push-pull. But when we do that last transition, lift your single hand, right, and your left is lifting, da, 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 and making sure those alternating are matching your double. Da, da, same, same, same. So you're really listening to make sure you're matching, again, going from doubles to alternating. Okay? On the 3s, da, 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 da. Try to stroke those out to the same height. Okay? If we get really fast, we might do a natural decay, but most of the time we're going to be stroking those out, trying to make sure they're the same height. Okay, so triplet Swiss flam, taps, and 4s. So now we're trying to get our 2s, 3s, and 4s mixed in with each other where we're just flowing and getting the hands nice and warm. So this should be complete legato and always constantly moving. No sharp movements about this. It should be all flowing and relax. So, where you might feel a little bit of uncertainty as far as the flowing hand is when you get to those flam 3s. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. You're going to have a little bit of a slower lift on those. So don't just hang out like a robot and don't downstroke. Just kind of slowly lift. It is a little bit slower of a lift. Or match your center snare, match your center tenor, and make sure you're matching on that lift, okay? The center awareness. Okay, note value change and stick control. So note value change is going to basically be called mojo, and we're going to start putting in different variations in the triplets. But this first one is just making sure that you're able to switch from duple to triple feel And then also let's work on some stick control flow. So the idea is just like gallop. Okay, again, trying to match stroke and velocity, and that's kind of a note value change as well, even though it stays in duple. But then we go to triplet. So don't overplay these accents. Technically, the accents should be the same volume as the first two measures, because the first two measures are up, 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 same. So I should hear a drop for the inner beats, but the accent should be louder. So they should not. It should not be like this. Did you hear the sound quality change? It should be the same. It shouldn't be any brighter. So it's a good way to check if your accents are being overplayed. Okay, make sure you match the first two measures. Now those accents we're putting in there to really sync up with our feet and make sure we are driving triplets, and we're not slow, we're not fast, we're perfectly in time right from beat 1 to beat 2. Okay, it takes 2 points to make a line, it takes 2 beats to make a tempo. So we're trying to make sure we're really nailing the new subdivision with the same tempo. Then we're back up to get some stick control variations in triplets. And now we're back up. So again, the accents from measure 3 should match the sound of measure 4. Because measure 4 is all up. Okay? So it's a good way for you to listen there as well. Make sure they're matching. Measure 4 is a da-da-pa. Measure 8 is a pa-da-da. Both have a double hand and then a single hand. That single hand should flow and just be a slower motion. Okay, so if I'm doing da-da-pa, 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 the one la li, shouldn't downstroke. Li, it shouldn't downstroke or like freeze in there. It should flow. Okay, so you might want to play with the metronome, just some dotted quarter notes, and feel how it's constantly moving, and try to make sure that's looking the same way. Okay, same thing on measure 8, pa-da-das. Nothing rigid about the single hand at all. Okay. Then we get to measure 12. Those are your doubles. That should just flow. Lift, 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 lift. Push, pulling, all these doubles in all variations. And the last one's a paradiddle. The other way you can think about this is alternating hands. Right, left, left, right, with a pa-da-da in between. Right, left, pa-da-da, left, pa-da-da, stop. So make sure you're thinking flow, 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 left hand flow, right hand flow. So it shouldn't be down, down. Look for that motion to be constant. Da 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 move. Always constant motion. If you were videotaping yourself in slow-mo, you would never see the stick stop.